What's going on? So as most of you know, my son is very important to me, most important person in my life, and I wanted to share this story with you. It's a little different than most of my videos. They're mostly like fitness oriented. So my son is now, he's 2 years old. He just turned 2 in February. It's June now. It's almost 2.5. It's crazy how fast they grow up, because I remember he was just like a little bean. I could hold him in one hand, you know. And so they actually told us that his due date was supposed to be March 19th, and he was born on February 19th. He was born 30 days early, and just truly incredible that he's completely healthy now. And before, you know, it was supposed to be all types of medical complications and all kinds of things were going to be wrong with him. And his mother actually, when she went to the doctor, and they were telling her that she was having Braxton Hicks contractions. I believe that's what it's called. It's a condition, and it kind of simulates labor pains. And in reality, she was going into labor that day. So we were here in Miami. We were at a place called Mount Sinai Medical Hospital, and when you go online to the maternity ward there, it's all terrible reviews. So we get there, and she tells them that she's having all kinds of pains, and they did an ultrasound, and so we go in the room, and she said, well, the doctor has a few concerns. And this was a doctor, he wasn't there, he was on the phone, and he was examining the ultrasound from wherever he was. They can, you know, obviously all kinds of technology is crazy nowadays. And so he's on the phone, and he's telling us that the baby is going to have problems with his arms. His arms don't look fully developed. And his stomach. His stomach was super underdeveloped, and he was going to have all these problems with his stomach. And immediately, his mom starts crying, and you know, I'm fighting back the tears. I'm trying to be strong for her at the time, because you know, she's 8 months pregnant. You know, you got to be, you know, she's going through all these hormones and emotions, and I'm trying to stay strong. I say everything's gonna be fine, and she's crying. You know, I don't want something wrong with him. And so we leave there, and we're kind of, I guess, defeated at that point. You know, she's just in so much pain, and she's crying, all kinds of emotions. So you know, we go home. And she lays down. She says she wants to take a nap. So after she fell asleep, I left and I went to get some sushi with a friend. I get a phone call as soon as I ordered like a bunch of sushi. I got like 5 rolls. As soon as my sushi gets put on the table, she calls me and says I need to go to the hospital again. I say okay. So I get back and she's like, yo, I know my water just broke. I know I'm having the baby. So I'm like, oh shit. And so, you know, I'm freaking out. And here's Rugies. Come here, buddy. Come here. He was freaked out too. He didn't know what to think, but he was super stressed out. And so were we. And so we run. I put everything in my truck. And this time we're going to South Miami, because that's where the baby was going to be delivered, instead of the Mount Sinai Medical Center. So we're driving. She's screaming in so much pain. She has a super low pain tolerance, super low, but she's screaming. And so I'm freaking out too. I immediately start crying, because I see her in pain, and I don't want her to be in pain, so I'm crying. We're driving to South Miami, and the fucking traffic is horrible. Like some of the worst traffic I've ever seen in Miami. I live in South Beach, okay? So South Miami's way over there. So I'm, you know, I got a big ass lifted truck at the time, so I'm driving over, you know, the curb and going out onto the sidewalk and driving through the grass just to get to the hospital once we get off the highway. So we get there in the car, you know, the wheelchair comes and, you know, picks her up, push her inside, and they take her upstairs. I gotta run back outside and park the truck. I run, you know, I'm sprinting back inside, and the guy at the front desk is like asking me all these fucking questions, you know, gotta give him my ID, and I'm freaking out like, dude, my son's gonna be born, let's go, hurry up. He was cool about it. He's like, you know, took my picture and everything. So I sprint upstairs, and I go in the room, and she's with a nurse, and she's calmed down a little bit, she's fine, and they say, okay, she's 5 centimeters dilated. And so, you know, that's pretty serious. The baby's coming very soon. So they, you know, they wheel her off in the other room. They're like, okay, let's have the baby. Now, you know, obviously, at the time, I didn't know a lot about any of this. So, all I hear is these people, they go into labor, these women go into labor for 8 to 10 hours. And so I quietly go to the nurse. I didn't want to freak out. I don't want to freak out her, so I go to the nurse. I say, look, you know, is my son going to be born in the next 4 hours? Like, you know, how long is this going to take? You know, I'm not I just want to know what's going on. And she looks at me and she goes, your son is going to be born in the next 15 minutes. It's time to get to work. So I'm freaking out on the inside at that, like, oh shit, I'm going to meet my son in 15 minutes. So the doctor comes in, and the thing was, the doctor that was supposed to deliver the baby couldn't get there because the traffic was so bad. And she was coming from, you know, like 45 minutes away, which would have taken 2.5 hours. The hospital's only 30 minutes from here, and it took us, you know, 45 minutes, and that's with me driving in and out of traffic. And so basically they had to call another doctor to do it, and she was wonderful. She was great. And the whole process, I know a lot of people get, you know, I guess kind of scared when they think about having a baby the first time. And incredible to see a woman do that, incredible, and have a natural birth, because she didn't have time for any pain medication, because the baby, you know, we walked in the hospital and they're telling her she's been in there for 10 minutes and they're saying, okay, it's time to have the baby now. And when she started, when they told her to start pushing, you know, obviously severe pain. It's crazy. And so she was having severe pain, and I'm telling her, you know, I'm right there with her, and I'm telling her to push, and you know, I'm like holding her fucking leg up, holding her hand, like, okay, let's do this, come on. And they say to her, the baby is getting very tired. It's time for you to push. You have to push the baby out. And she, you know, her eyes are like rolling back in her head. She's like, you know, all woozy and everything. And I kind of laughed at that. I said, oh yeah, the baby's tired, you know, whatever. And they looked at me and they said, no, his heartbeat is slowing down. And they told me later on that if she wouldn't have pushed right then, I could have lost my son right then. His heartbeat, he was born, he was having heart palpitations and a irregular heartbeat, which had to be monitored for the first year of his life. And he's, like I said, he's perfectly healthy now. And so finally I was like, push, let's go. You know, and he came out. You know, when it all happens like that, you're kind of like step back, and she's, I guess, a little bit relieved, still in pain, but you know, I walk around the bed to where the baby is, and I look over there and I see my son, and immediately, just, I mean, overwhelmed, tears, you know, I'm bawling like a little baby myself, and seeing my son for the first time. I remember he had like a cone-shaped head, because he came out that, you know, that way, and obviously, yeah, you get what I'm saying. So he had like a cone head, kind of looked like a little fucking alien. And I looked at him, I was crying. And she looks at me and she says, "What, you know, what's wrong with him?" Because all she could think about was this doctor that said he's going to look, you know, he's going to be deformed, he's going to have all these problems. And she looked at him and she said, you know, she looked at me, she says, "What's wrong with him?" And I said, "Nothing. He's perfect." You know, so I'm crying, and they clean him and they give him to her. It's just amazing, just absolutely amazing process. And after that, you know, seeing a woman do that is, you have a newfound respect. And he was 5 pounds and 11 ounces. He was a little guy. And so we thought he was going to have all these problems, and not at all. He grew up to be completely healthy. He's actually huge now. He's huge. So he's, you know, my mom used to measure me as I was growing up, and dude, stop kicking me. He tries to kick me off the couch. He comes up behind you and then tries to kick me with his back legs off the couch. And so after, my mom used to measure me when I was younger, and so, you know, she has like a board that shows, like, as I grew up, you know, she has a board that shows me, like, now I'm like, you know, 6'6" on the board. And my son is 2 inches taller than me when I was his age, which is pretty crazy, you know, because he was born 30 days early. He was so small. And when I came home, when we got home from the hospital, after he was born, it was 2 days later, and when we came home, he never chews things up. He never does. But when I came home, he had just ripped up the whole apartment because he was so stressed out, and I had to call one of my friends to go walk him a few times. And when I came back to get some things to bring back to the hospital, he ripped up the whole house because he was so stressed out. He didn't know what was going on as we were leaving. And I had a client that actually gave me these $2,500 Cartier sunglasses, and they had like gold lining on the side, solid gold, and he ate them. Like, he didn't chew them up, he ate them. I only found like half the sunglasses, like the glass part. He like ate the whole gold and everything and shit it out later. It's crazy. And My son came home is absolutely beautiful experience. But I wanted to share that story with you because before that I was so focused on my social media, and I was posting all the time. And I know a lot of you you've been following me for a while, and you've seen that I kind of stopped posting as much. I don't post as frequently. I don't post the YouTube videos as often as I did before. And it's because I kind of took a step back, and instead of seeing how many likes and views and comments I could get on my social media, it became, you know, how many naps could I take with my son, how many little kisses could I get from him, how many times could I make him laugh. So I guess when people say that children change your life, it really does. It really does change your life, and it changes who you are. It changes who you are as a person. You know, and I didn't think I could love someone as much as I love my son. And your love grows even stronger as they get older. And it's just, everything about it is incredible. And but yeah, there's ups and downs, and we were told all kinds of things was going to be wrong with him, and turned out completely healthy. So blessed. And but yeah, that's it. So again, this is just a story I wanted to share with all of you. Thank you so much for the support. All the comments on my Instagram with me and my son is you know, I love reading the comments. I got a bunch of Happy Father's Day direct messages, so thank you to. I couldn't respond to all of them. There's so many, but thank you so much for caring and supporting me. And make sure to subscribe to my channel. Many more videos coming. Love you guys.